This episode is brought to you by Blue Sky CBD. Okay, I don't think I've gotten a full night's sleep since I became a mom, which is like over 4 years now. And I feel like I've tried everything, but none of it worked. You know what did? Blue Sky CBD. I love Blue Sky CBD because each gel contains 25 milligrams of CBD and 25 milligrams of CBN and 0 THC. Check out Blue Sky CBD's Sleep Gel 4-pack sampler for just $6 or their 10-pack sample for $20 at bluesky-cbd.com. Oh, and you can use promo code CityCastDenver to get 30% off your order. Just go to bluesky-cbd.com. Today is Friday, November 7th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Welcome to CityCast Denver, the show about the city where even the contestants of Love is Blind sit in I-25 traffic. Stars,
they don't
like
get
us.
Their own lane? The Love is Blind lane?
I learned from the Denverite interview, Jordan, who, if any folks watched it, he's the one that had a son named Luca. He said, I'm still working my day job right now. I'm still a single dad and just chugging along, still sitting in I-25 traffic for hours. So
it catches us all.
Yeah, even famous people from Denver.
He's probably listening right now in traffic. Yeah. Hey, shout out,
I
Jordan.
hope so.
What's
Jordan,
up, dude?
if you are listening, give us a call, 720-500-5418.
Bree Scott, I didn't watch the show, but clearly something happened with this person and you were feeling something. You're feeling sympathy to him or something?
Yeah,
That's what I'm
do you
reading.
know who his partner was that he didn't marry? Sparkle Megan.
I love her. I've been trying to get Sparkle Paul going, Raina.
Oh, okay.
Nobody likes
And Paul, much like Megan, does not have a
it.
lot of sparkles like in his clothes. So I don't know
where that's coming from.
Yes.
You might have to start wearing some glitter.
Maybe if it'll help.
But we
It's
can
good branding.
start spreading that if you want. We
Please.
can try to see if it sticks.
Sparkle Paul, the podcast
do me
guy.
a favor and don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't indulge Paul, please. No, Jordan got a lot of flack for being a single dad on the show, which I thought was interesting, but
yeah,
that's a show for another day. Anyway.
Flack from dum-dums.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares?
Yeah, it's like,
who cares?
So what?
I was just listening to Audie Cornish dissect Love is Blind today, so I think I'm like a little too deep into it right now. She's like a scholar of it. Anyway, I'm Bree Davies. It's Friday. We're looking back at the big news of the week, including a deeper look at the elections from Denver to Colorado to the rest of the country. Plus, we're talking about the surveillance giant Palantir making the move from downtown to Cherry Creek and what's going on in that neighborhood these days. Producer Paul Caroli is here with me as usual. Hi, Paul.
Hey.
Hey, and we have a great guest today. You may know her from Instagram as Raina King. She's a content creator and a community leader and activist, but you may also know her as Raina Kingston, candidate for House District 5, and she's joining us for the first time. Hi, Raina.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
Can I ask you a question about this?
Of course.
So you're Raina King on Instagram, and on ballots in June in the primary where you're running for House District 5, you're going to be Raina Kingston. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Why? What's up with that?
It's just like a stage name.
Okay.
No.
Well, I wanted to say both because people probably know you in one way and they need to know what how to find you on a ballot.
Oh, 100%. I so appreciate that. Honestly, the main reason that I went by Raina King for so long is because my handle is Raina King Denver, and it was a lot shorter than Raina Kingston Denver.
I mean, both sound awesome.
Yeah.
That's true. That
I
checks
do love
out.
my name. But yes, formerly now known as Raina Kingston.
Okay.
On your ballots.
Good to know.
Yes.
In a while. Not anytime
No, not anytime soon. I did have some people reach out to me and be like, how did you do on this last cycle? And I was like, oh, we're too soon.
Well, yeah.
we got work to do.
You're like, here in politics, we're 5 cycles ahead.
Yeah, so true.
Before we jump into the news, Paul.
Oh my God. I'm so excited about this.
Such a huge announcement to make. Listen in, get close here, especially our lovely members and neighbors. This one especially is for you. We are announcing our big event at the end of the year. We've never done this before. It's called the Denverist Denver Award Show because we want to celebrate this city. And we're doing like a super crazy holiday party / award show. We're asking you to dress up. I've got 3 prom dresses I got at garage sales that I'm going to be trying on.
You should do outfit changes during the show.
Oh, I could do. I might write that into run of show.
That'd be pretty cool.
That's worth the ticket cost alone.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying that because I want people to really know we want you to dress up. Like
For
dress
once.
for what? Not
I mean, it's the
Colorado
event that we wanted,
dressy,
like an occasion to dress
formal.
up. It's a holiday party. It's
but it can be crazy formal. Like I'm thinking like Dumb and Dumber formal. If you want to go that route, great.
That
A
would be
suit
good.
all of one color. I would recommend going to Disguises and renting.
Yes,
You could
they're the
rent like a
best.
Great Gatsby era outfit. This is how we want to see you. But Paul, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what the actual show is about?
Yeah, so it's an award show. That's the thing. This is our way to say to the best stuff of Denver, hey, just to recognize the greatest stuff about Denver. What makes this city a great place to live? So we're breaking this down into some marquee categories, and we're opening up to nominations from anyone for anything, people, places, things, ideas, moments from the year that you all think were defining moments, great moments, things that made Denver awesome this year. And then we're going to have some fun categories as well that we do at the show itself. But right now, we are asking for your nominations for these categories, and there's a link in the show notes. The biggest win of the year, the best small business, the best bar or restaurant, the best street or neighborhood, the best artist of the year, and then my favorite category, the Denverist Denverite of the year.
The Denverist Denverite of the year.
And
Say
Bree
more.
and I went back and forth on what attributes we
We
were
are
looking
looking
for
for.
there. That was very important. But
It
I think we
was.
settled on grit,
Yes.
courageous, and the drive to make Denver a better place.
Someone who's really thinking about the community of Denver and making us a better, cooler place.
Yeah.
And so,
love
yeah,
that.
it's wide open. We'll put a link in the show notes. There's a little bit more of a description for each of those if you're like wanting to know a little bit more. But we're taking your nominations now. Tell friends, tell business owners. We want to get everybody involved in the nominations part because that's what's going to make it really fun.
Yeah.
Is who we get to round up for this.
And then we're going to have finalists in December that we'll vote on. And then at the ceremony, we'll give out the awards.
So the show, Thursday, December 18th, doors at 6, show at 7. Our friends at the Oriental Theater. This is going to be so much fun. And members, you get a discount. So watch for a discount code later today, and you'll get some other perks too, because really we're thinking a lot about you when we put this thing together and how to make it super awesome. This is also a reason to get folks that you know to join and sign up, because then they can get that cool stuff too. So
What's an award show within an exclusive after party?
Oh,
Just for
that's so
VIPs.
true.
Truly.
Yes.
we're working on the location of that right now.
Honestly, Denver needs this. I'm so glad we have this platform, this organization. We can make it happen. This is a dream
We're going to
for
have
me to make
celebrity
this
guests.
real.
I've already booked some good
Oh.
ones. Yeah.
Any hints?
I mean, one involves Casa Bonita, but not in the current form. So if you're an old
Oh.
head, you're going to be super excited about this one.
People you're going to want to take pictures with
Yes.
on the red
Ooh.
carpet.
Yes. So we're going to have lots of opportunities for you to take cool pictures. That's the other thing I love about the Oriental. It's a really beautiful space, and there's a marquee. You can take some, and why not dress up? Get an awesome picture taken with our celebrity guests.
All right, we're going to talk more about this over the next few
Yes.
weeks. A lot, probably.
Yeah.
Very
You know,
exciting.
Who are the nominations? Who are we going to nominate, et cetera?
So check the link in the show notes. Buy your tickets now. Can't wait to see you. Okay, let's start. We got to talk more. Big takeaways from this week's election in Denver. Like I said, Colorado, beyond, implications across the country. Let's start with the mayor's bond victory. The bond sailed through. Paul, where were you? I'm trying to think when we did predictions on this, did you have any thoughts other than it seemed like
I thought they
probably
were all
everything
going
was
to
going to
pass.
pass?
I thought it was all going to pass at about the rate that it did pass, in the 60s, 70%. Big win for the mayor. Huge win for the mayor at a time when he needed it most. I mean, he's been having all this criticism. He's kind of been putting his foot in his mouth lately a little bit. I mean, he had this lie about
To say it mildly,
being
yes.
flock cameras being used for Jack Scruton, that investigation,
Which is
they
not
were not
solved.
And then also, as our friends at Denverite reported, the mayor on our show made this claim about a shooting at a migrant shelter a couple of years ago.
Wow.
And so Denverite was like, that's interesting that I didn't heard that story. It was
and
surprising to
I
us
feel like
too.
we set off mic, or we were like, wait, what?
Yeah.
We read the news every day, and we did not hear this story. So they did some
Anyway,
investigating.
Good on you to Andy Kenny, my friend at Denverite. He heard this and did the investigating and found that the mayor was actually just again got over his skis, like not correct about this person that did this shooting. The shooting did happen, but it was the motive for the shooting is not known. The mayor said it was an anti-migrant shooter, and we just don't know that. That's not on the police haven't said that yet. We don't know that. And then also, I mean, in the same interview, I just have to say this, a third data point makes a trend. When I was grilling the mayor on the police and fire budgets, his proposals, they both went up. He proposed higher budgets for police and fire this year. And I was like, why did you do that? Why didn't you ask them to defer raises? He explained it. But then he said, but the budgets are mostly flat. And I was like, no, they're not. They're up. Why are you? And why did he say mostly flat? What does mostly flat
That's
mean?
a very
That's
vague statement.
It's just spin.
Yeah.
It's just a spin, and some people would say a lie. This is 3 times now. So he needed this win right now. He needed this win.
Did you see a connection between these gaffes and the lies in this moment when also he had this big bond package on the line? Because it didn't seem to matter to voters.
Yeah, not really. I think voters saw New Library good. But Raina, what do you think?
Yeah, that's so true. I think they were written in such a way that it really excited people to vote for them. Because I think on the surface level, right, you're reading, I want to invest in libraries. I want to invest in rec centers. I want to make sure my city has better bridges and does all that. And I think they're a perfect example of how nuanced politics can be because, I really loved seeing on social media so many people talk about the bond bill and go into depth and be like, here's what it's actually here's what it's funding. And there were so many things in there in some of the sections that gave voters pause because I was like, how are we building a police facility and libraries in the exact same bond issue?
Yeah.
And I think it was just a good example that voters are finally starting to pay attention, but maybe for the greater good, we're willing to push these through.
I kind of want to hear what your takes overall on the election. I mean, you're someone who's been on social media a long time, very popular. People probably know you from your Instagram account. But you're getting into politics. So, what did this election day mean to you?
Yeah, what was really cool about this past election cycle is I hosted this ballot review. And, I've always been into politics and following what's going on. But this is the first time I really deeply understood each ballot measure completely. And, as someone who has loved politics but has felt so restricted in terms of what I can know, the insider knowledge, all that kind of information, it was so cool to be able to be I know exactly what I'm voting for and share that information with voters. And so while not everything passed the way that I wanted it to this past cycle, the fact that I knew that I was educated on what I voted for and so were so many other people because of that knowledge was really exciting for me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of folks point to the blue book that we get in Colorado and Denver that explains our ballot issues, but it really takes something beyond that conversation with folks that really understand it. That at least this has been my experience. It's sure, I can look at the blue book, but it doesn't mean I totally understand what it means because there's a lot of legislative language in there. So being able to discuss it with other people or hear other people's interpretations of it. I've been in that same boat 10 years ago. I figured out, I was because I used to just sit down with I'm very lucky. I sat down with my parents and be what does this mean? But being able to have a bigger conversation, I thought it just, I don't know, it feels better.
Yeah.
You know what you're voting on.
I also think it says something that, we're all getting more civically engaged. This is an off-year election. And the fact that we were discussing it so much and people were genuinely wanting to know what they're voting for. I feel 4 to 6 years ago, people would be it's just an off year. I don't need to vote. But I think we're really seeing that shift that people are I'm paying attention. And I'm paying attention every year.
Would you connect that to Trump?
Oh, for sure.
Because I think that's what we saw across the country is we're seeing the beginning of this blue wave in response to Trump's election back last year.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what it is?
Makes my blue heart happy. It was a nice little win to see. And I think absolutely you have, I think it was right in Mamdami's race, he had the best turnout in 3 decades of votership, which is insane. And so I think we're all sitting there what did we let happen? And let's not let it happen again.
I want to talk about the influencer aspect because this, I think, has weighed in on this election more than ever before because the nature of social media is always evolving. We talked about this earlier this week, this newer facet of campaign strategies. Zoran Mamdani was probably the biggest example of utilizing social media in this way. And I don't know, for instance, for him, I think he was at 1% in January, and then he won at over 50%. That's a pretty huge jump for within a year. And a lot of it, I think, folks attributed to his use of social media connecting with a lot of folks. But this is your wheelhouse. How do you see politics and campaigns and influencing our online creators' work coming together in this space? What does that look like to you?
Yes. No, I love this conversation. And I think, there's some nuance here, especially when it comes to Denver influencers. I think sometimes when we hear the word influencer, we get a little scared and people kind of associate with, someone with millions of followers who's trying to sell you clothes or makeup or something. But that kind of influencer doesn't really exist in Denver, at least from my knowledge. And if they are, they're not like a Denver quote unquote influencer.
They're just an influencer in the world, and you may have to dig deep and find other from Denver.
Exactly,
Sure.
yes. So I feel like, especially in Denver, influencers are coming at this from, they're doing this work because they genuinely love Denver and its businesses and supporting it. And so it's really interesting bringing influencers into the political talk. And this isn't new. I think it's new to the blue side, but I don't think it's new to the red side. I mean,
Fair
we've
point.
seen all those conversations about how the right has been using influencers and media people for years now to push their narrative, and we're seeing the effects of that. And so this new introduction of influencers to politics on the blue side is very much like a reaction to that. And it has been interesting to talk about and like bring influencers into the conversation, because the way I look at it, I love my audience. I've curated them for about 3 years now. We're like a community. I always think about what I'm bringing them. Will they resonate with it? And does it not feel like it's coming out from like left field? And I think because I've curated such an amazing collection of people, that the transition from influencer to politician really felt quite natural, because I've been sharing my beliefs and what I stand for many years now. It wasn't kind of just like a sudden decision.
Have you gotten blowback on any positions you've laid out?
Actually, not really. Honestly, most people have been really, really receptive. And if they disagree with it kindly. I think I've kind of set like a status quo for how we communicate on my social media pages, and hate just generally isn't accepted.
Really?
And that's the baseline. But I wouldn't
think
say
you
there's
can
any
expect
hate.
some. I think
Oh, for
my
sure.
God. Like when things get
Well, as
thorny.
you open it up,
Yes,
to
as you
the
open
folks
it
that
up.
have come to you for other reasons, but
Yes.
then gotten to know you versus
Yeah.
the coming in at the politician level.
Totally, absolutely. Yeah. And it's like
Have you commented on parking yet?
on parking.
Or
Oh my gosh.
Bike lanes?
Yeah,
Have you talked about bike lanes?
you're right. I know. I haven't yet, but
STK Steakhouse, you following this?
I have. No, I haven't STK.
Oh,
Bike
Lord.
people are really upset that there's a valet outside the steakhouse downtown,
Mhm.
and the steakhouse got a permit from the city to
Yeah.
have the valet operate in the bike lane. And the bike people are
Oh.
like, the bike lane is there for our safety.
Yeah.
And the steakhouse is like, the valet is there for our money.
Yeah.
And so there's a big conflict, lots of tension. It's gotten violent a couple of times,
Oh my
apparently.
goodness. Yeah, no, I know that like bikers are so important to Denver, and there are huge biker groups. And we're not talking about like motorcycles, we're talking about
No.
on your way to
Cyclists,
work.
yeah.
Yeah, cyclists. Yeah, so it's been interesting talking about that too. I think the transition has been kind of fun, because people used to stop me in the street and say, hey, I know you from TikTok. And now it's like, hey, you're running for office. And that's been really cool to see that welcome transition from the community. I think people are just genuinely excited to see somebody they know.
Have you met any skepticism to this? Because like you said, influencing has a wide range of what people do
Yeah.
on the platforms. Like you said, some people are just selling stuff, but how has that transition been for you? Like, has anybody said, I don't know, is this really what I'm tuned into you for?
Again, I honestly, none. I mean, I remember I got an interview and posted it on YouTube, and there was like the men in the comments saying like, oh, we don't want this, but it's because we don't think women should be in politics. And so, those kind of comments just roll off me, because I was like, I don't
You're
know.
like,
That's not
okay,
serious.
what year is it?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm good.
I'm not messing with you anyways.
Yeah.
But I genuinely do feel like if the skepticism is there, they haven't said it to me. So, and to that I say I'm welcome to it, because running for politics is not a light decision. It's not something I decided to just wake up do one day. It really comes from like a drive of loving Denver and loving my community and really wanting to show up for it. And I've been showing up for it. I just want to take it in a new direction.
So, okay, so your primary is not till June.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure we'll
Yeah, we have some
probably talk
time.
more about that later. But I actually had a question for you, Bree. We talk to the mayor all the time.
Yeah.
He's on the show regularly. And I wanted to know, I read this quote in the Denver Post from him where he was declaring victory on the Vibrant Denver bond.
Okay.
And I wanted to know what you thought, because seemed to me to be him. This is what he's taking away from the results from Denver, what the message he's learning here. He said, quote, "This is a huge momentum builder for us, both on these projects and on other parts of the agenda," he said. "A lot of people said, don't do a bond now, wait 2 more years. It's too much too fast. And I think these results are the voters saying, no, we do want to move fast." What do you think?
I don't know. I brought this up multiple times. This is the third bond in less than a decade. I feel like outside of Johnston, this is something that Denverites see as a mode of getting things done. I don't know if this necessarily connects to his move fast thing. I think it's kind of odd to actually connect it to that, because that's one of the biggest criticisms of him, is that he does things too quickly and that there's not enough transparency in that movement. We heard this from council often. What is this money going for? How is this working? And that was one of the biggest criticisms, I think of the affordable housing measure that he put forward. And I just, if I was him, I don't know if I'd be connecting those things, because I think those are two separate things. I think the way folks feel about how he operates versus what bonds do, I don't know if those are in the same boat.
Raina, how about you? Mayor moving too fast or too slow?
Oh, gosh, I think it's so hard because in one aspect, I'm like, the world's on fire. It's all burning. What is money? That very
What is
much
time?
What is time? We're falling behind. I want to stay ahead. And so it's really hard to I don't know. I mean, I think this was a win in many ways, but at the same time, it's like, we don't know the implications of it yet either.
I'm trying to think if this was a conversation when Hancock ran his two bonds, which also passed, except for one measure out of the 2 years that they did it. And I don't remember really necessarily, even as a voter, connecting it to Hancock himself as much as because the other thing is there's a lot of emphasis on all the community input that gets into these bonds, how they choose the dozens of projects that go in there. And that's more what I think about when I think about as a voter what I'm voting on.
I also think
it doesn't matter to me who's in office. No, you're fine.
I was going to say, I also kind of think it stems from voter knowledge. And if you're right, if you're saying that voters are just thinking this is the way that we get things done is through bonds, there's that whole part information that's missing. That's why is Colorado so poor? Why does Colorado not have a budget? And I just I don't know if the voters yet know that it's we're operating with no budget because of systems in place that we can't undo.
Tabor.
Yeah.
Tabor
is really the underlying issue
exactly.
Here too. I think, but I will say, well, actually, there wasn't quite a loud enough organized opposition to some of the projects within the bond where we could maybe get into that contention.
That's true.
Like the 8th Avenue the infrastructure that some folks say is just serving the benefit of the yet to be built Bronco Stadium, and that absolutely is connected to Johnston's intentions.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I don't know. This is a tough one for me. I'm stoked because I live over there, and that's a bridge I use every day. I feel differently about it, but I can see those connections, and I can see why folks would say, maybe I voted no on that one in particular because I don't like that move that Johnston is making.
Yeah.
I don't know. Paul, what do you think?
I think he put his name all over this. He ran the process. He picked how it was going to happen. It's the Vibrant Denver Bond. That's his brand. It's his thing. It's everything about him. This is Mike Johnston's bond. I think voters associated this with him completely. If those that were paying attention, and I think it was a big part of how people chose whether or not to support it or not, because he's also going to be in charge of implementing it and spending it and making it happen.
I don't think it's fair to say were they paying attention though. Because I think that Hancock did the same thing, and I didn't necessarily like anything else Hancock was. He put on his cowboy hat.
What did I say that voters? What
weren't
are you
paying.
disputing?
You were just saying that maybe if voters didn't think it was connected to Johnston directly, then they weren't paying attention.
Yes, I stand by that.
And I'm saying I disagree with you. Is all I'm saying.
Okay.
Is Johnston or as Hancock also was all over his bonds in a cowboy hat for the Western Center stuff, and I didn't necessarily think I'm voting on this because I also didn't agree with Hancock on most things, but I could see where we needed these projects to get done. So to me, I don't necessarily connect it to that. I mean, I'd love to hear what listeners think. Is this something you voted on because you believe in Mike Johnston's vision, or is it something that you voted on because you know this is how things get done, or is there another reason? I'm curious.
Yeah, me too.
Can we talk about Littleton a little bit?
Sure.
Because part of the reason why I was excited to have you on the show this week, Raina, is because you grew up in Littleton.
I did.
Littleton just went through this big housing density fight, and they gave us very conflicting results by re-electing Mayor Kyle Schlachter, the pro-density, pro-housing density affordability candidate, but also approving this Measure 3A that is like putting the brakes on density.
I know.
So what do you think as a Littletonian?
As a Littletonian,
Yeah.
yes. Well, I think very much what I tell everybody, the Denver and the Littleton that I grew up with is very different than exists today. And I think we're experiencing and seeing so many people not being able to afford the city and going to live in the suburbs. I can tell you that I'm proud of Littleton for getting more diverse. It wasn't very diverse when I grew up there. And I think this whole situation is very reflective of what works for some communities, doesn't work for others. I can sit here and tell you that I'm
Interesting.
very pro housing density. In fact, I wouldn't be able to live in my neighborhood of Sunnyside that I do now without it. I live in a quadplex, and I am such a proponent that my neighbors make everything so much better, and I actually can't imagine not having them. We're a cat block, and I say that very proudly, and we all watch each other's cats, and it's truly just like such a joy to like know my neighbors. And it makes me sad that we're limiting housing density, because I'm a true believer that diversity and density help strengthen a community, and you get that through having more affordable housing and more dense housing. So I'm sad for Littleton, very confusing coming out of both sides for them.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
But I'm hopeful. I mean, I don't know. I think very much what I was saying, like a lot of people are wanting to live in Denver, but realizing they just can't afford it. And so they're being pushed to the suburbs. Littleton's a great one to go to. And so you have a lot of my friends and people I grew up with who are still living out there who are more blue, and they're going to vote for that blue mayor because that's what aligns. But I think there's still very much strong NIMBYism in Littleton, and hopefully we can get them to YIMBYism.
Yeah. I think people will be curious. I did talk to Mayor Kyle about this. He says that he has heard from some of the Rooted in Littleton people that ran the 3A campaign, and he said they congratulated him and they're hoping to work together on a compromise. He's saying he is expecting some legal challenges because he thinks that the Measure 3A doesn't actually apply to the ADU ordinance that they passed earlier this year. Some of the Rooted in Littleton people think that it does. So there's some questions about the legality of 3A and how it can be implemented, and he's expecting lawsuits. But he's optimistic.
Yeah.
He's optimistic. There's other things they're working on too.
That's true. I mean, I drive down there sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, what is this place? Because it's so different and developed compared to when I lived there.
Do you have a favorite place in Littleton?
I mean, like the downtown Littleton strip is so good. Their pho restaurant right there is just stellar. And I remember every single holiday season, they do a parade with like Santa at the end of it. And I think I went last year, and just all the nostalgia feels.
I love it. I love it. Well, we'll obviously be following what's happening in Littleton, because we're always following what's happening with zoning, especially around Denver, because it impacts Denver just as much as it impacts the metro area. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're moving on to Cherry Creek. This episode is brought to you by MultiPass. Listen, I lived through the era of the total Ticketmaster takeover. Wildly high service fees, big clunky websites, bots, scammers, Pearl Jam suing them. You know, the pains of ticket buying. But it doesn't have to be this way. MultiPass is here. This wonderful, local, community-minded ticketing and events platform offers benefits to not just the people putting on great shows, but the people who want to go to those great shows. Proudly based in Denver and deeply rooted in the local event and creative scene, MultiPass offers a promoter dashboard to boost attendance with built-in tools to add street teams and track performance. They also have revenue sharing tools, which automatically splits ticket revenue between producers, performers, and promoters, meaning no more complicated payout hassles. For customers, MultiPass offers more than just a place to buy tickets. Its unique community chat feature unlocks once you RSVP. That means you can connect with other like-minded fans for meetups at shows, events, parties, club nights, and more. MultiPass is designed to help everyone in the event ecosystem win, not just the platform. Learn more at multipass.com. That's multipass.com. Okay, we're back. We're talking Cherry Creek. There's a couple components to this story, but let's start with sort of the most, I think, sensational aspect of this was, Palantir, the surveillance giant, has moved its offices from Silicon Valley in 2020 to downtown Denver. They are now moving to Cherry Creek. They're moving into a building. I don't know if they're exactly in there yet, but people know that they're there. And this week, the building was vandalized. Someone painted Palantir out. There was red paint spilled all over it. The glass on the doors were broken. And I don't know, Paul, what do you think about Palantir's move, and maybe because there was demonstrations downtown, to be fair, outside of the offices there. But I don't
frequently.
I don't know if the vandalism had happened in the same way that it's already happened to this space where they haven't even moved in yet, potentially.
After looking into this a little bit more this week, I wonder if there was vandalism.
What do you mean?
Because I think that, and I found this interview with one of the people who's been doing these protests. They talked to one of these old blogs I used to follow that writes about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the advocacy and the organizing in America, Mondoweiss. And they talked to a guy named Skylar Ramsey, a member of the Denver Democratic Socialists of America, who said Palantir came to Denver from Palo Alto. He says they were chased out. He says the CEO, Alex Karp, came here not for economic reasons, but for cultural reasons. They thought this was going to be a place where they would avoid protests because they were facing protests a lot in Palo Alto. Yeah, this is what they thought, apparently. And we're going to put an link to our interview with the guy who wrote a great biography of Peter Thiel about Palantir I did a couple of years ago. But so the activists were like, we need to keep the pressure on them up here because we don't like Palantir. And so their strategy, according to Skylar Ramsey, was we've been very conscious that our target here is actually not Palantir. We're really targeting people who can exert pressure on Palantir for us. We're targeting the Tabor building itself, the office building in which Palantir is set up. We're pressuring the proprietors of that building not to renew Palantir's lease.
And that was the downtown office.
That's the downtown office that they have now left for.
That's definitely not how it's been framed in other reporting.
In like Cherry Creek, where brand Cherry Creek is changing too. It's a little bit more conservative, a little bit more money centralizing there too. I think this is fascinating stuff. What do you think, Bree?
I'm trying to articulate how it fits into this bigger conversation about the vibe of a Cherry Creek versus the vibe of a downtown, and like. Maybe they felt like they would be safer in the Cherry Creek area I'm saying Palantir would maybe be less likely to be protested in that area because I honestly have never been to a protest in Cherry Creek.
That's kind of that's a weird image.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine it. And this is just an interesting thing because also what we're talking about is downtown office vacancies were some of the worst they've ever been last year, really, really high. Meanwhile, Cherry Creek is like, basically you're on a waiting list to get in there. It's one of the best, hottest real estate markets in the country for business, especially for office space. So it's interesting what's attracting folks to that might be this part of this security aspect or what they see as what's going to go down in Cherry Creek versus what might go down downtown. I don't know.
Raina, have you been following the Palantir in Denver story?
I mean, yeah, I've been knowing that when they were here. I didn't know that there were protests outside their building happening all the time, which I love. I would exercise our right to protest, absolutely. I think it's interesting that they thought they could come to Cherry Creek and that nothing would happen. Not that I think something should have happened per se, but in the way that it did. But I think, Cherry Creek is kind of building this reputation. And I think at the end of the day, she's still part of Denver. She's still part of that blue, hopefully.
This is one of those stories that reminded me that 20% of Denverites voted for Trump.
I know.
I think a lot of them live in Cherry Creek.
Look, Cherry Creek is such an interesting conversation.
I see it from a perspective that's not necessarily the voting perspective because the folks that I know that I connect with Cherry Creek are the workers, and most of the workers cannot live there.
Yes.
But that's who I think of when I think of Cherry Creek. I've worked in that mall for 17 years.
Yeah.
Like, I know that clientele really well, but I know even better the workforce, and that is not representative of the voting base there by any means. So that's 100%. An interesting perspective to think. This is maybe where some of the Trump votes were coming out of. For sure. I mean, it's been one of the wealthiest areas in the city forever. It's literally adjacent to the country club. I just happened to grow up right out, like literally boundary lined outside of it. And so I have a soft spot for it, but this kind of thing reminds me of what Cherry Creek feels like to a lot of people, which is they're not welcome there.
Yeah. And I mean, I've never been one to like shy away from like calling out like a Trump-owned business. Like there was that incident earlier.
The town pump provisions in Cherry Creek.
Half a block away from Palantir's new office.
Yes. The bougie bodega, some people called it.
Yeah, exactly. But
this was a Montfort adjacent business, right? Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, it's hard because Cherry Creek is starting to build this rep or perhaps expand on a rep that's been there for a while. But very much similar to what you were saying, like there's so many amazing small businesses in there that we can't wrap up in that kind of like narrative. And it's hard because these people are also just still trying to make a living.
And the small businesses are fewer and fewer for sure. But I'm with you in that, like, I think I still have a little bit of an old school perspective of like the Cherry Creek of 25 years ago, especially Cherry Creek North was like, galleries and small businesses. And it doesn't mean that they weren't upper scale businesses, but they were still a lot of family owned type things. And that's just not the case anymore.
Yeah.
We're talking about Hermes being over there. We're talking about that guy that just opened the $10 million steakhouse in Cherry Creek.
Oh, boy.
In the Cherry Creek where I used to go to the Village Inn to smoke cigarettes, which doesn't exist anymore.
Hilarious.
So it's just a different world, but it is weird to see Palantir in there,
It's super
It
weird.
is.
to say that.
I
much.
kind of like the new Cherry Creek.
Oh.
If someone invites me to the Cherry Cricket for lunch, my answer is yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's-
And
but
I wanna go to
literally
Joybird
look at the
afterwards.
Look at the Cherry Cricket. It literally looks like it's stuck in time,
Yeah.
and everything around it has changed. And of course, I'm all for it, but like that's not the Cherry Creek of the rest of the Cherry Creek.
Here's the move, though. You go to Cherry Cricket, and then you're going to get nice and full. Afterwards, there's a bunch of nice furniture stores.
Yes.
And they will
True.
let you sit on those couches. You can just walk in those stores. Sit on whatever couch you want.
I think there's like a CB2 over. No, maybe it's a room and board. There are quite a
Yeah,
few
there's some nice ones.
good
Joybird.
ones.
I feel like I
Joybird.
haven't even
Oh,
like
there's a
walked
Joybird
in
over there.
to some of those stores. I go, oh, I don't know if they want me.
Yeah, I also like
A $20,000 couch.
but they're all not. But again, the salespeople
Sir,
are.
you've been
Yeah,
here for
that's
hours.
true. That's true.
I also am a 30-year customer to Your Optics. Hi,
Yeah.
please let us please advertise with us, Your Optics, please. I bought my glasses there since 1996. But there's a couple of those businesses, but for the most part, it's very bougie.
Yeah.
It's very bougie.
I mean, they do the Christmas market every year, which is
They're-
very popular.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they have a block that's car free during that
Yeah.
time. It is lovely. Yes, absolutely.
It's
It
so
is a
hard.
Christmas wonderland
It is.
feel if you want that vibe for sure. But it is that I think that's the push and pull of the Cherry Creek experience.
Mhm.
Is it's for a lot of rich people, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of working folks that make it work.
Yeah. America.
I know. I was like, that's just like, I guess
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
America.
yeah.
I'm not describing
No,
something
it's like-
extremely unique, but you're right. It's just like, it's just so clear.
Yes, it is.
Like,
It's
the
one of those
moment-
places where the tension is clear.
Well,
Yes.
and also, like, talk about a business improvement district. Like, you literally enter Cherry Creek and their medians are overflowing with gorgeous
Oh, yeah.
curated flower
Stunning.
pots.
Mhm.
The medians in my neighborhood have like vape cartridges all over them, and someone's ran over the sign that says "Don't drive here" 50 times.
Yeah.
And I get a little bit jealous, where I'm like, "Why can't my neighborhood
Yeah,
have that?"
that
And I'm like,
foliage,
"Because we
yeah.
don't have a bid." Like,
Mhm.
Totally.
but it is very visually. You're in Cherry Creek.
There's
Yeah.
something about the
she
bid
serves her
thing.
purpose 100%.
Yeah.
The bid thing,
Well,
the
let's talk
fact
about the
that
bid
there's
thing.
these neighborhoods that have, I mean, we just saw, but we're seeing these pop up more and more, these bids and jids where these business owners and residents in these neighborhoods are voting to tax themselves to
Provide
services like security or vandalism, clean up graffiti, like Palantir out. I wonder if it's time for a bigger conversation about this. You know, I think these groups do a lot of good. It's great these businesses are like finding a way to make their lives easier, but at the end of the day, this is like money going towards a public good.
Oh my God.
Like this is sort of like mini governments they're setting up, and like maybe the city government should have a say on what happens with that money, or like
Paul, you're like diving into the main like ethical dilemma I had working in urban planning was because I started out like, I hate the Downtown Denver Partnership. That's how I felt 10 years ago because of their role in the urban camping ban. And then I worked at an urban planning firm, Puma, lovely, Brad, Yvette, I love you guys. They taught me so much. And I started to see the good of the bids and the jids, like what they did. I think Colfax is one of the best examples of how they can help small businesses. Or Buku West over in Westwood. Everybody that works with Jose knows he cares about the businesses that are there, not the ones they're trying to attract. However, Paul, what you're saying is where I get really stuck is, so my neighborhood doesn't have one. The government's not providing enough for me, but my neighbors, do we need to be taxed to get those basic things like just trash picked up? I don't know. I don't think that that's really fair. That's a really interesting, but the Cherry Creek just turned down a general improvement district.
the
neighborhood did.
The residents did. I think it comes down to trust. I think it comes down to trust and like who you trust with your money. Because some of these business owners like probably don't feel like the city government is going to have their best interests.
Or Rhino, what
Yeah.
they're going through with the business owners didn't feel like it was actually worth paying into necessarily. So it's the trust of the government or the trust of the organization that's supposed to be doing this. I don't know.
Because as a
Perhaps
city,
both.
we could vote for higher taxes.
Yeah.
to provide services like this. We could vote for candidates
Yeah.
that say, my platform is cleaning up graffiti or
Yeah.
putting
That's true.
flowers in pots.
It's so, yeah, it is. If you start to think about it and pay attention when you're in different neighborhoods, you'll start to see the
yeah.
stark differences on what can be provided by a bid. But again, bids are not free. Those are coming from us. Well, I guess before we wrap up on that, I don't know. So do you think that was part of the move for Palantir? They wanted that? Well, no, they moved from the DDA, which is the Downtown Development Authority, which is a taxing district, and the Downtown Denver Partnership, the bid down there. They moved to Cherry Creek where there isn't that. Do you think that's a factor for them, Paul, at all?
I think for them, it's all about labor. They're dealing with the same issues that every other company is dealing with when it comes to return to office. They want to have a nice place where people feel comfortable coming in. And that comes down to stuff like, are there protesters outside calling me a fascist? Are there nice places to get lunch?
That's true.
Is there a beautiful view outside the window? And like right now, Cherry Creek, I think offers a little bit better product when it comes to the office market.
I think this might show them, though, that it might not be the optics they're thinking of.
I wonder, though, because the other thing about Palantir, though, is the culture of the organization. They have made very clear from the beginning that they are like jingoistic, patriotic, America first to their core. If you listen to Alex Karp, their CEO, talk, he says stuff like, they just had a call with investors where they reported record earnings this week. And he got some complaints from some shareholders about the other things that the protesters complain about, like contracts with Israel, the IDF, contracts with ICE. And Karp says, we're going to go very, very deep on our righteousness because it is exceedingly good for America.
Yeah, isn't that why they left Silicon Valley? Because they were like, I don't agree with the ethics
Exactly.
of Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
You're like,
Wow.
So they attract people that are on board with this kind of
Yeah.
like, Western civilization is the best and America needs to rule. And like, this is so think about those people. Where do they want to work? What offices do they want to work in?
The bubble.
Is
that
it downtown
Cherry
or
Creek.
is it Cherry Creek?
Yeah.
this made me sad.
Yeah, me too. That really makes me sad for the vibe of
Yeah.
how the vibe of Cherry Creek is now,
Totally.
in current day. Ooh, interesting. Well, we'd love to know what you think. What do you think about Palantir moving to Cherry Creek? What do you think about this idea of bids? Do you live in a neighborhood or an area that has one? Are you a business owner? The good and the bad and the ugly. We'd love to know. 720-500-5418. Give us a call on the bids and jids and everything else. Hotline 720-500-5418. We're going to take one more quick break, and when we get back, our wins and fails of the week.
This episode is brought to you by Denver Film. Because movie lovers across the city are getting hyped. It's almost time for Denver's biggest celebration of cinema, and you don't want to miss it. I'm talking red carpets, celebs, Hollywood moguls, exclusive parties and VIP events, and you can be a part of it. Honestly, I've always had a great time at Denver Film Fest. Not only do they bring out so many good movies that you can just show up to basically a random theater on a Tuesday night on a whim and see something interesting, but you also have a chance to dress up nice, go out to a packed screening of one of the year's best, because they always bring the best. The Film Fest returns for its 48th year, running from October 31st to November 9th. They're featuring over 200 of the world's best new films, as well as all kinds of other great events. Choose your adventure and get tickets at denverfilm.org. That's denverfilm.org.
It's time to go over to our CityCast Denver neighbor and sponsor of this week's episode, Elizabeth Martinez with Compass Real Estate, for our weekly segment, Navigating Denver Real Estate, to answer all of your Denver housing market questions.
Hey neighbors, this week, let's head over to Congress Park. It's an older neighborhood with several intricacies to it. Starting with 6th Avenue to 8th, you've got the East 7th Avenue Historic District and Parkway. Here you find grand homes and a lush tree canopy along the parkway. It's the most prestigious pocket of the neighborhood, and not surprisingly, it commands the highest prices. Then from 8th to 12th, this is what I call the heart of Congress Park. This area is predominantly 1920s bungalows, which are my personal favorite, with craftsman character and big front porch charm. From 12th to Colfax, the vibe shifts. Here you'll see the largest concentration of Denver squares in the city, or four squares, as they're called in the rest of the country. The busier one-ways of 13th and 14th, and of course the flavor of Colfax to the north, cater to the density here with mini condo buildings. Can't forget to talk about the great local spots on 12th Avenue at Elizabeth and Madison, with coffee shops, restaurants, and boutiques that make the whole neighborhood feel connected. Congress Park really is super charming, with old homes, a thriving community, and layers of vibrant life all woven together.
This segment is sponsored by Elizabeth Martinez with Compass Real Estate. Have a question about Denver real estate? Use the link in the show notes to submit it. Elizabeth might answer your question in next week's segment. Okay, we're back. Rocky Mountain highs and lows, wins and fails of the week, things that ruled, things that sucked. We'll start with fails so we can end on a good note. Paul, what's your fail this week?
My fail this week, we were talking about politics and influencers earlier. That's where my fail comes from. Specifically, it goes to politics influencer Katie Grossbard. Do you know this person, Raina? Katie Grossbard?
I don't think so.
Okay.
If I do, Katie, I'm so sorry. I'm better with faces.
So the story, again, my friend Andy Kenny, he gets 2 shout-outs this week because he had a great report on political influencer Katie Grossbard, who apparently recently interviewed Senator Michael Bennet on her channel.
Oh, wait, I think I know her handle.
You do?
It's
okay.
like mayor or something, but she's like, I'm not a mayor.
I think that's someone different actually, because I know her
what
too.
What is her actual
Yeah.
handles?
I know. Wow. Operating.
I'll put a link in the show
okay.
notes. Listeners, you can check it out and see if you know who this person is. But apparently, after this Grossbard person interviewed Michael Bennet, who's running for governor, Democratic primary, apparently afterwards, Phil Weiser, who's the main competition for Bennet, reached out to Grossbard to offer her an interview. And, quote, from Andy's story, but that hasn't happened. And for one apparent reason, her management said it could cost Weiser's campaign as much as $2,000 to reach her 250,000 Instagram followers, according to emails obtained by CPR News.
Oh, Phil Weiser would not be doing that.
No.
Well, I wonder. It doesn't seem like him either. But yeah, so Grossbard denied that Bennet paid for his interview.
Oh, interesting. I was going to say, so does that lead us to say
Right?
that Bennett paid for his interview?
Where's the money going? Who's paying for what access to what people?
Interesting.
But my fail is for Grossbard because this is wildly unethical.
Totally.
Yeah, because
Wildly
you have-
unethical.
Yeah, you would have to mark it and literally say it in your post.
Yeah, you do.
That
Yeah.
this was a paid this was a paid exchange,
Yes.
essentially. And she did not do that.
And who would enforce that if she didn't do that?
Honestly, that's such a great question. I mean,
See,
there are the
this is the
FTC
problem.
guidelines. Those are things that you just follow. I don't know if there's like an FTC.
I
There's
suppose Phil
someone
Weiser.
trolling
I don't know
Instagram to
there.
look for that's I mean, how do you
It's a lot about
enforce that?
integrity in this business. Yeah.
I mean, maybe Phil Weiser would do one of his signature lawsuits.
Yeah.
You
if
know
there
what's
was
so
an issue
funny
with
to
this.
me is the most litigious people are the music industry, and if you happen to post audio that they from an album they have not authorized to be used on Instagram, they will immediately take it down. But you could maybe post an interview with a politician that got paid to do, and there's no one checking for that.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
Ooh.
Phil, if you're listening, love to offer you an interview
Oh, yeah?
for free.
Interesting. Okay, good to know. Anyway, that's my fail. That's my
Okay.
fail. Katie Grossbard.
Raina, what's your fail?
Yes, my fail this week. I was pretty sad to see 2G pass in the way that it was. I felt that it was a very confusing ballot measure that was worded so perfectly to confuse. And I really, really hope that it doesn't hinder some progressive council members from winning in the future.
Can you explain what it was again for folks who maybe
Yes,
this is
the
the first time?
2G was, do we change how the at-large city council members are voted for to reflect that of the mayor and other positions? I think it's pretty close to how it was worded.
Yeah, so they want to split. Well, they will.
Yeah,
be
they
splitting
will.
it into 2 races versus now, where at large we pick 2 candidates out of a pool, and then now it's 2 races, 2 distinct races where you have to get the majority. And the argument against it was progressive candidates won't have as good of a chance in this kind of a situation. And I have to say I was surprised, but also, yeah, I just didn't see a lot of campaigning around
Totally.
this other than the Instagram posts I saw from Cashman and Sedana Gonzalez Gutierrez about why they were against it.
Yeah.
But it passed
I know.
overwhelmingly.
I know.
Paul, what'd you think?
I want to say something controversial about this.
Yeah,
All
go for
right.
it.
I thought it was interesting that this reform we were talking a lot about how easy it would be for progressives to get on council, when I don't think that's Denver City Council's issue. We have had progressives on city council pretty well represented for a long time. And I mentioned it earlier in the show, 20% of Denverites voted for Trump. If we wanted to have a more democratic city council, there's 13 members. How many of our current members voted for Trump, do you think?
I don't know.
I would bet 0.
I was going to say 0. I would say there's one representation of mildly conservative views on council right now, and that's Flynn.
Honestly, I don't even think it's Flynn. I think Flynn,
Really?
Flynn says he's a lifelong Democrat. I
Yeah,
thought
that's
this
what I'm
about
saying
Flynn
is
too.
I don't think he's a Trump voter by any means. I would just say he's a more conservative leaning when it comes to certain things. Although he voted on something interesting. He aligned with Parody and Lewis recently on something.
Yeah. He was one of the backers of the increase in the minimum wage too.
That's right.
Yeah, so like
That's an unfair characterization. I'm sorry.
totally
Flynn.
I'm
hear you,
saying
like-
if we wanted a more democratic city government, perhaps these 20% of our city who are Trump voters might deserve some representation. And maybe we should talk about a reform that allows for that.
Interesting. I would say that the at-large city seats have been traditionally introduced to combat progressives, but we have made them progressive in Denver. And so this idea that we have progressive candidates and that we shouldn't have more is interesting. I don't know if I would agree.
Yeah, I don't know either. I also generally disagree with anyone who's arguing in favor of a democratic reform and justifying their argument based on advancing a certain position or party. I just think you got to do a better job at winning elections. You know, if that's not a good reason to change the system just because your team's winning or losing.
Yeah.
Like you got to justify it based on fairness or something
Somewhere
else.
was just doing this, and I can't remember.
Population size.
Was it Inglewood or Littleton or somewhere was going through this similar thing too? It was someone that had run for mayor like 3 times and she didn't make it, so she tried to change the. I'll have to
The
look
party?
It up. Yes, it was something similar happening in the wider metro area. So it's not just a conversation that's happening here for sure.
Yeah. What's yours?
My fail is my alma mater Chili's is closing.
Oh.
I-25 in Hampton. I salute you, all my friends. I worked there from like 2001 to 2003, I think. And I'm sure a lot of my folks are still there. And I hope you guys find new spots. There's like a couple Chili's left still in the city proper. I think Colorado Boulevard would probably be the closest one, but I'm just a little sad. I mean, I worked there probably at the heyday of that one when the what was known as the Continental Theater was like booming with Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. And like, I made so much money there as a Chili's waitress because of that movie theater.
That. Yeah.
But the movie theater is closed and they're tearing it down. And I can see where they're like, is this Chili's going to be busy anymore? But I just feel sad. I have a lot of nice memories there and I met a lot of great people there. And, you know, sometimes corporations exist, but they hire us and we create a community within it anyway. And, I just salute to my fellow Chili heads. I hope you all are okay. We're going to try to go there.
I was going to say, you're going to do one last hurrah.
Yes, we're trying to go as like a CityCast team next week.
Oh,
We're trying.
fine.
Oh, last day is Wednesday, everyone.
Okay.
So you have a little less than a week to go down there, pay your respects. I mean, I don't know.
What's your order? What's your move? What's the thing to
Yeah, please.
I actually loved their black bean burgers. Love an old timer with cheese with a black bean burger or a regular burger. I'm a creep and I love chips with ranch, big bowl of ranch. I always did that. Their chicken crispers, if I was feeling a certain way, maybe I was eating edibles, I would enjoy those. I don't know what there is lately. They have all these like crazy combos that I'll do.
Yeah,
and I
people
like
the appetizer platter.
Yeah.
It's
and
very trendy right
the
now.
boneless
It's
buffalo
trendy.
wings, obviously.
Mott sticks.
Yeah, like they do those things very well. And they also do salads pretty well, too.
You're making me
So-
really hungry.
I know. I'm actually very hungry
I
now,
actually
too. And
need
There
to
used
I
to be that
bite.
Chili's right here on 16th Street.
Oh, yeah. It was
yeah.
a Chili's, too.
It was
What is
just-
that?
Chili's,
What
it
was
was called
the-
a
what's the
Chili's as well,
distinction?
basically. I don't know. I think it was just smaller.
Oh,
there wasn't
okay.
really any difference.
Okay.
Like,
Those are
I
the
worked
good old
there
days.
at, like, the height of it, where they had, like, they owned Big Bowl, which was like I don't know, like a Tokyo Joe's knockoff.
Oh.
They owned Corner Bakery. The Brinker International
yeah.
Corporation had a bunch of things going on. But the one thing I never ate at Chili's was the chili because it's
I
not.
actually didn't even realize they had chili.
Oh,
Now that
yeah,
you
it's-
say that.
it's
Like,
baked-
but
Yeah,
that
I
makes
thought it was
a
like
lot
a
of
chili
sense.
pepper, like
Yeah,
a Southwest
but it's
vaguely.
lore. The lore is that it was based out of Terlingua, Texas, and this
Oh.
chili cook-off happened there. And that's just not
Oh.
my kind of chili. I'm a Colorado girl. I do a different kind of chili. So I was
Yeah.
not a Chili's fan of the chili, but you know.
Wow. Well, take some pics, share it with us so we can see your last meal there.
I have more on Chili's. We could do this for a long time.
I know. It's like I could
love
really do a
Chili's.
whole. I was on the
Episode
Chili's
about Chili's.
softball team. I mean,
That's amazing.
we were at the height of Presidente margarita sales. Like, whew,
When I was
crazy.
a kid, Chili's was like the treat thing that like I
Yeah.
have very strong memories with my mom specifically. We would go to this like suburb, this strip mall, really dumpy strip mall. There's a Barnes and Noble there. It was my favorite thing to do. I'd go and I'd get a book and then we'd go to Chili's together for lunch.
I
The
love
French
that.
fries, that spice mix on the fries.
It's
was like,
very
good.
Still, that's
Also good with ranch.
good. It's good.
The funny story
Chili's, a great
for me
company.
was I
Great
worked.
restaurant.
It is. It's a really good restaurant and also great service.
Why are they
Maybe
closing?
catering for your event in December.
They
You know what? I used to do catering for Chili's.
Yeah.
And that was the best gig because you didn't have to wait tables. You'd go set up at somebody's house and then they'd tip you. It was amazing.
Oh, I love that.
But I worked actually down the street at the Applebee's. And Applebee's, you did not make as much money. You wanted to
Chili's.
get to Chili's because Chili's was where you made the real money.
That's amazing.
So I started at Applebee's. Shout out to my old roommate, Cheryl, and who I met there, still friends. And then my roommate at the time, Catherine, got a job at Chili's. And we were coming home and like, she was making like $200 on a lunch shift. And I was making like $40 on a lunch shift. And she's like, you got to come to Chili's. So I left Applebee's
Wonderful.
for Chili's. And then eventually Chili's is one of the 3 jobs I've ever gotten fired from. So
Oh no!
long story, but still
I think
love
you guys
that
got to do a
Chili's.
Chili's episode for sure.
I think
there's
we
a lot of
just
lore
did
here.
it.
Yeah.
I think we just did it.
All right, let's do our wins this week. Raina, what's your win?
Oh my gosh, yes. Hashtag HopeCore. We're back. Thank God.
Go on. What do you mean?
Yes, I think, after Election Day, we just saw so many great wins that, after the election of last year, we were all hesitant to, at least I should say I was hesitant to believe because I was very much in my Kamala was going to win bubble. And it just feels, I don't know, you feel it when you scroll. People are excited again. People are rallied. They're ready to
see
do
a lot
things.
They took Bernie from us twice,
Yeah.
but we got Mom Donnie. I was like, he's running for mayor,
Yeah, I know.
not
I know.
president. But I'm also
Hey.
feeling that train.
So true.
Or a lot of like, that's my mayor, like parentheses, I live in
Denver.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, exactly.
That was partially my win too. Was
Oh my
just the
gosh, love.
energy. Just the
Yes.
energy. There was a lot of folks I saw who were just feeling like, oh, it's so corny, but like there's
Yeah,
hope.
There's hope.
There's hope. There's someone in a position of power talking about bringing people in, not forcing everybody out.
Yes.
And he did that. I think the big thing for me was the Mom Donnie, like, oh, I know this cab driver. We did a hunger strike together for 15 days. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this man really does know this city. So.
Yeah.
But not just him. I think
Totally.
it's across the
It's
country.
everybody.
We saw it here in
We needed
Colorado
that
as
hope.
well.
Yeah.
Abigail Spanberger with Spanberger heads. Rise up.
Yeah.
We're excited about her too, right? Huh?
Yeah,
Huh,
there was
guys?
an interesting conversation
Yes.
too about moderate Democrats as well
Yeah.
as the Mom Donnie level Democrats. And I think
Yeah.
that there's a brighter picture being painted
There
across the
is.
spectrum, which we have not seen in a long time.
We definitely haven't.
So, Paul, what's your win?
My win goes to Clerk and Recorder Paul Lopez. So
Hey,
this
Paul.
is
Just met him the
also
other day.
quietly, nice guy.
Yeah.
Quietly and under the radar loss for Mayor Johnston happened this week, but council was talking about the mayor's responses to their responses. They're debating the budget, basically.
They've been debating the
Oh,
budget.
they've been.
And so the conflict has been between the Mayor Johnston and Clerk Lopez. Clerk Lopez says, you're underfunding my office. I'm not going to be able to preserve the integrity of the elections next year. It's going to be a pretty important election,
Yeah.
midterms, primaries, etc. And Johnston was like, I think you got the budget you need. So City Council Monday voted unanimously, so that's a veto-proof majority, in favor of Lopez. They added $2.8 million in funding to the Clerk and Recorder's office,
Yeah.
which is not the full amount that he wanted, not the full amount Lopez wanted, but it's way more than Johnston wanted to give him. And I think that speaks to the strength of Lopez's case that he made for this money when he spoke out to the press. He came on our show and talked about it,
Yeah.
and his influence in the city. And I could tell when we were talking to the mayor that we talked about his Flock. He was not rattled. He's comfortable defending his position on Flock. When we talked about the budget and when Lopez came up, that's when Johnston got serious. I think he knows that if there's anyone that's going to challenge him in the reelection campaign right now, it's Lopez.
Oh, interesting.
That is interesting. I didn't think about that, but Lopez has
100%.
a strong, I I think he's got a strong backing in base. He's such a
for sure.
down and out Denver.
He's won citywide elections.
Yes.
He's been on council forever. He
Yeah.
knows the issues. Very popular guy, very personable guy. Him and Johnson are great foils for each other too. And not that they're like total exact all one way or all the other way, but their communication styles are so different.
Mm.
Like Johnston leads with his mind, his intellect, and his logic, and his policy, and his research, and Lopez leads with his heart.
He's all about feelings.
all about feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I could see why they don't communicate so well.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I got an email from his office saying, like, as a 2026 candidate, we're closing some boxes and like it's going to make it harder
Oh, really?
to get people out.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And I actually checked when I went to drop my ballot. I was like, oh, is my box
Yeah,
still
is your box-
open?
yeah.
Because it's like just a no-brainer for me. I know exactly where it is. And I could see where if you live in a neighborhood. Well, I think Globeville just got a ballot drop-off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's interesting. Elections are important. And I think Paul Lopez has made a great case for what they do, why they do what they do. Okay. Paul, did you do your win?
That was my win. Lopez
was your win. Okay. My win also is the Democratic energy, and I'll extend that to Danielle Jurinsky losing her seat in City Council in Aurora. I saw this as a win because I don't know how I would feel very angry if I was a citizen of Aurora and someone representing me was going out to the national press and telling everybody what a terrible place it was to live. It felt like she did not love the city. She loved to tell people why it was so bad.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to hopefully talk to someone next week who knows Aurora very well, because I would actually love to get down to the street level of like what was going on for Aurora in this vote. But this also was a turn for Aurora City Council away from conservatives and more towards a liberal group of folks representing the city. And I don't know. That whole covering the Tren de Aragua stuff and really seeing beyond what was being the hysteria and seeing a lot of people struggling with the housing situation that sucked. I thought Denverite did an incredible job of profiling the actual people impacted. I think the Denver Post did some really good reporting on the people that owned these buildings and what was really going on there. And I just think that Jurinsky did a disservice to her community by trashing it so much. And I think voters sent a message. So
Yeah.
that was
We love that.
Yeah, I thought it was a win to me. It was just like, this is how people actually feel. So
I wonder. I talked to some people who liked her in Aurora. I think that her position was nuanced. I think that we saw that in Denver. She sounded like a crank that was just talking
she was
about how
on
bad
Fox
things
News
were.
and Dr. Phil.
Yeah, but I think that's not exactly what her message was. I think she was saying the city's being misrun or mishandled, and like the mayor of Denver allowed. He was putting all these immigrants into Aurora. He's the one ruining this place. I think that was more her argument. And she was like trying to be like more speaking on behalf of the residents, especially of those troubled apartments. Like she was the one who went and talked to that one woman who ended up on stage with Trump at the Gaylord, who lived in those apartments, who was a Democrat and then ended up supporting Trump because of someone like Danielle Jurinsky, who was there for her, who she felt was there for her.
Then Trump calls this Operation Aurora, and we see what he's doing under Operation Aurora. And if I was a Aurora resident, I would be pissed. I'd be like, this isn't my city. This isn't
Depends
how
on
I
your
feel.
politics. Depends on your politics.
Voters said something one way about it. That's
yes,
for sure.
They did.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm eager to hear it next. Yes, like you said, we're working on this. I want to know better what's going on there.
Yeah, I want to know more than
surprising
the nuances of Aurora's politics, because again, they still have a conservative mayor. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake out here. But yeah, we're working on that story for next week. Okay, well, Raina, Paul, thanks so much.
Thank you.
See you next time.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. Our producers this week were Paul Caroli, Olivia Jewell-Love, Matthew Rogers, and JD Lopez. Peyton Garcia writes our morning newsletter, Hey Denver. Abby Madigan runs our social media. I'm Bree Davies, your host. Our music is by Los Mogochetes with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. If you haven't already, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at CityCast Denver. And tell Alex Karp about us next time you see him. You can sign up for our daily newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. See you next week.